We can continue our session. Good evening, everyone. I think we can start our session now. So today is our day 4 of the webinar. And I think I don't need to explain about what DhanGyan is. So good evening, everyone. This webinar, as you know, is being recorded, and the recordings of each day's webinar is shared on our YouTube channel. The links are being shared with your teachers. Please feel free to view them again and get look at them again. It will be valuable if you can learn from them each time you see them. So just as earlier times, all of you, your mics, your videos, and the chat is going to be disabled, and I'm going to do the chat right now. So please do not put any chat options for this webinar. So you all know that there are 3 partners. I think this entire presentation has been by-hearted by all of those who are attending this repeatedly. So USO is organizing this DhanGyan for Standard 8 students along with IDOBRO and Tata Capital. DhanGyan, as we already know, is a very valuable financial literacy online program. So just to sort of, I don't think I need to repeat. I think it's very good that all of you, especially those who have stayed for 4 days of the webinar, just want to say congratulations. You are now more financial literate than you were when we started the webinar, because you've gone through the modules and you've also attended the webinars and heard from the officials at Tata Capital. So as you know, we did our first webinar on SMART goals and budgeting. And then the next day, which was Tuesday, we did the one on insurance. Then we took a break on Wednesday for Republic Day. Yesterday was the webinar on investments, and I think it was very interactive and all of you had fabulous questions. And today is, like I said, one of my favorite topics, which is banking. So today's webinar, all you want to know about banks, why did they do what they do and how they do it. That's what we are going to, I think, cover today, but Mr. Bhesania, of course, knows better than I am. So we have once again with us Mr. Behzad Bhesania, who is the Chief Financial Officer at Tata Cleantech Capital Limited. And I should have asked you this, sir, on day 1, but what is your favorite part of your, what you do? Which is your favorite part?
No, most definitely finance is my favorite, and hence my career in finance. I am by profession a chartered accountant and hence Chief Financial Officer. So yes, managing finances of a company, managing finance is something which I love to do, something which is close to my heart, and I hope all our children out here, all our students out here will find what is close to their heart and grow in that in their career, and they will be much more happier to do and earn in what they love to do rather than what they don't. So all the best to that.
That's true. That's true. I hope so too. I tell my children as well the same thing. If you pursue a field that you're interested in, then it won't feel like you're working because it will be fun. And that's the best way for you to grow. So no doubt. Anyway, so with that, I won't keep all the students for long. I hand that over to you, sir, so we can speak about or cover the subject of banking. I think Behzad sir will be back in a moment. So until he is back, perhaps I can tell everybody what the next steps could be. Although not a lot of you have joined today, but for those of you who have, and I'll repeat it, I'm happy to repeat this. So for the benefit of all of you, you have to do the first 5 modules on the DhanGyan portal. I hope you already know that. So the first module was SMART goals and budgeting. No, there was SMART goals, I'm sorry, and then there was budgeting. Sir is back again. So for the benefit of everybody, maybe I will just repeat this after the end of the webinar. So I'll hand it over, I'll hand the e-mic to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And welcome back, students. And I hope that you've enjoyed the earlier sessions of DhanGyan. And today we will understand a bit about banking. Now, I will try to touch upon the origination of banking and then a little bit about what we can do in banking and how really banking works in a generic manner. So let's get started. Well, it's anybody's guess as to when banking started in the world, I would say, and what was the definition of banks. So it is written in some document, in some scriptures, in some places that the origination was in 1171, where in Italy, the authorities out there had taken some loan from people for meeting the expenses of certain war. And this arrangement was for after this arrangement, a repayment was done to them. Such loan was called mot in Italian language. And in those days, there was a lot of German rule in that region. And the meaning of the word mot in the German language was bank. Afterward, the Italian language modified it as banco. And again, the German word for banco means joint stock fund. France and England also then adopted this aspect. The word bank is now derived or now known to be derived from the Latin word bancus or bank. And this is the meaning in English, it is known as bench. In those years, banking was basically done on a bench. People used to approach the bench, do the transaction and move away from the bench. And that's where it entirely got its meaning from. Modern day banking, of course, in India, it is through England that it got introduced during the British rule. However, it does not mean that banking was not known in India. There were money lenders, and we know about munims, and during the rules of the Maharajas and the kings at that point of time, most definitely there was banking, but that was the informal method of banking. Subsequently, of course, India was also a major partner in international trade. Big producer of steel, cloth, spices, and used to get exported, etc. So earlier documents also mention about interest rates, deposits, giving discounting of bills. Discounting of bills were called as hundis. It is called even the same today. Then there was Indian Banking Act in 1949, and I will tell you how this also got transitioned, where the term banking was properly defined. It means the acceptance for the purpose of lending or investment. Acceptance of what? Acceptance of deposit of money from the public, which is payable on demand. Now, what do you mean by repayable on demand? Repayable on demand is that suppose I go to the bank today and deposit 1,000 rupees. I can go back to the bank and say, I would want to withdraw this 1,000 rupees after 7 days. I can go any day and tell the bank, I would like to withdraw this money. I am not bound by a period of time. Suppose I do a fixed deposit. Then the fixed deposit, let's say, is for 1 month. Then I am eligible to draw this amount after 1 month. But I can still go to the bank, break the fixed deposit and take the money earlier. But obviously there will be certain charges for that. So it is repayable on demand, or you can withdraw it by check, draft, or any other mode which the banking system defines. So let's see what's the evolution of banking that has happened in India. Early 1770s, the concept of agency house was what was formed. And when English traders came to India, they had a problem of managing capital, managing money, managing people transfers, etc. So they established something called as an agency house, and they combined it with trading. So trading and banking was one concept, and it was under a house called agency house, and the name of the bank came to be known as Bank of Hindustan. Then came in the advent of presidency banks. When East India Company took over the rule over India, they established presidency banks. What they did is they invested 20% in the capital of the bank. We learned in the last session about investments. What is capital? What is equity? What is debt? So they were the owners of the bank. They invested the first capital of the bank, so to meet their own demand of funds. In this scenario, in Presidency Bank, the Bank of Bengal, the Bank of Bombay, and the Bank of Madras were established in 1806, being the first, and 1840 and 1943 later. Then came back is the joint stock banks in 1884. Here, the new principle was established. The principle was limited liability principle. It means that whatever was the loss that happened at that point of time, if somebody were to face a loss, the loss of the bank would be limited to that extent. The loss of the owner of the bank would be limited to that extent, and not that the owner will go into a general loss more than what is the overall value of the bank. So many banks got developed in that manner, and Punjab National Bank, Allahabad Bank, Bank of Baroda are some of the banks that got established as joint stock banks. Then came the era of Imperial Bank of India. Now, at that point of time, a few foreign banks came into India as joint stock banks. To meet this competition of foreign banks, there were the three presidency banks were combined. Remember presidency banks, point number 2? They were combined, and a more powerful bank, that is the Imperial Bank of India, was established in 1921. The same bank was later nationalized in 1955, and today it is called the State Bank of India. Thereafter, of course, there was a need to establish a centralized governing body. So, the need for the Reserve Bank of India. The need for a separate central bank was emphasized by the Hilton-Young Commission. Why was this commission formed? Because there were many banks, there were many people doing transfer of money, and they needed to have this regulation made. So RBI was established in 1935 to perform the functions of a central bank, just to ensure that banking transactions are monitored. And it was based on the pattern of the Bank of England, which was established in UK. Subsequently came the Nationalization of RBI and the Banking Regulation Act. These two steps were taken in 1949 after independence. Here, the real power was given to RBI. Earlier, RBI was only, overseeing certain transactions. They didn't have real power. Here, in 1949, real power was given to RBI to make the banking industry trustworthy. They had to remove a lot of deficiencies and drawbacks, a lot of issues, and all this was the responsibility of the RBI. Then we all know about 1969 to 1980. In 1969, 14 big Indian banks were nationalized. So under the Banking Companies Act 1970, these are the 14 banks which were identified as major Indian banks which were nationalized. After this, 6 more banks were identified in 1980 and then nationalized. Just a bit before that, in the mid 1970s, we saw a concept of regional rural banks. So what was regional rural banks? Of course, the objective of India, the map was bifurcated into urban, semi-urban, and rural. So regional rural banks had its own specific objectives and importance. They had to provide credit or facility to deposit to small and marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, small enterprises, artisans who were of that local region. They were to develop agriculture, trade, commerce in the industry, and that was their primary responsibility. But their area of operation was restricted to a district, because if there is more focus, if you approach something with more focus, you will be able to develop expertise, you will be able to develop that region in a better manner rather than if it is scattered. Of course, the last was the advent of cooperative banks in 1904. Sorry, not the last, but in the midst of this journey, there was cooperative banks in 1904. Cooperative banks had got two classifications: urban cooperative banks and rural cooperative banks. Again, something similar in terms of what we spoke about regional rural banks in the 1970s. There were cooperative banks earlier. Now, they were also under the RBI regulatory and supervisory authority, but they were more about the state government earlier and then RBI, once RBI came into effect from 1935 onwards. The state cooperative banks and the district central cooperative banks provided finances to something called as the primary credit cooperative societies. Now, RBI provided funding to this for agricultural sectors to the state cooperative and central cooperative, which then went to the primary cooperative. And that's how the entire trade, agriculture, industry, and commerce of that particular region, of that particular area, was the objective for development. So what have we learned till now is basically what was the journey and what is the Indian banking system structure. What do we have in the structure? We have commercial banks, we have got regional banks, and we have cooperative banks. Commercial banks are nothing but banks which have the sole objective of making profit. They accept deposits and they give loans for making profit in the differential margin. Public sector banks were the banks where it was the government's initiative, where the State Bank of India and its associated banks were established, and certain banks were nationalized in 1969. Private sector banks, there were many private sector banks which were set up during this period. Private sector bank which had a head office in India, whose core objective of doing business was through an head office in India, was called an Indian bank. And where the head office was not in India or at a foreign location, these were known as foreign banks. Regional rural banks, they were also from a commercial nature. They also had a commercial objective, but like we read, that they had this objective of developing the business or trade of a particular region. Cooperative banks, like we saw earlier, again split into two aspects: urban cooperative bank, rural cooperative bank. Urban cooperative banks is more for urban, semi-urban cooperative societies and focused development of those areas. And rural was for state cooperative and central cooperative banks. And like we said, the funds from state and central cooperative banks used to go to the primary credit societies for the overall development of the region which the primary cooperative societies used to work in. Now we come to what are the functions of the bank. Now, what is a bank? A bank is the connection between customers that have capital deficit and the customer which has a capital surplus. So if somebody has got extra money and is just keeping it at home in their cupboard, and somebody who needs money for doing certain activities for their needs, etc., the bank brings those two people together. But rather than bringing those two people together, the bank manages the funds for these two people in their own capacity. So person A will not know person B, but person's A money will be utilized for person B's capital deficits, and the business will be done accordingly. So a bank is a financial institution, or we call it as a financial intermediary, that accept deposits and they channel these deposits into their lending activities. And lending activities will be many lending activities, which we will see in the second half of the presentation today. So there are two functions of the bank. One is a primary function and one is a secondary function. What is the primary function? Primary function is accepting deposits. So people who have surplus funds, they go and park it into their savings account. They open a savings account with the bank. They have their documents which they have to submit to the bank while opening an account. They are known as the KYC, know your customer documents, which the bank needs to take as per the regulation. And the customer can open the bank account with them. Friends, it is very important out here to know that when you open a bank account, please ensure you have a second holder or a nominee or somebody who is responsible for operating the bank account in your absence on your direction only. You know, these are known as either joint account, or you can have it as a nominee, or you can have it as a on a will that the account needs to be transferred to at a subsequent date in case something were to happen to you. It is very critical so as to ensure that your family money remains with you and is utilized in the best interest of your family, rather than being stuck up in the procedures of the banking system if there is no such nomination. Coming back, so what are the deposits? Deposits could be a simple savings account and current account. What is a savings account? So savings account is an account which is opened by individuals. These are non-business accounts. Hence, individuals in our own capacity, we go and open a savings account, and the transactions which happen in the account are for personal requirements. For depositing money in this account or maintaining a minimum balance in this account, the bank gives us certain interest. What is a current account? The current account is a place where you would park your money for your business activities. So you would want to grow your business, you would want to invest, you would want to do something. Current account is an account which is managed for business purposes. Bank does not give any interest for a business running account. Why? Because there are other facilities, other functions. Because a current account can go into overdraft at any point of time. A current account has got various other flexibilities. In a savings account, you need to have a minimum balance. In a current account, those things are not required. So there are many differences between a saving and a current account, and hence the differentiation about interest. No frills account, of course, there are these are different dimensions of the savings and current account where they do not have any specifications to that. Time deposits and recurring deposits and FDs. So you can have basically fixed deposits. You can deposit your money, which will be parked for a defined period. Let's say 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever is the period that the bank offers for a defined rate of interest. What will happen is that if you tell the bank that I would want to open a savings account, let's say, for example, they will say, okay, I will give you 3% rate of interest. But if you tell the bank that I would like to open a fixed deposit and I will try to ensure that I will not withdraw any money for 1 year, that is the time deposit or the fixed deposit. Now, if I do not withdraw anything for 1 year, that means the bank can use this money more efficiently by giving loans for a longer period. And hence, they will give you a better rate of interest. Then there are other products known as flexi deposits. Flexi deposits generally has auto sweep mechanism. In this, basically what happens is that if your savings account has got an excess balance, it will auto sweep it into an FD. And if the balance goes below a particular number which you've identified that you need to maintain in the savings account, the FD will automatically break and come back into your savings account or current account, depending on where you have linked the auto sweep to. So these are called, in aggregate, these all methods are called demand deposits. That means that you have deposited the money and you can withdraw this on demand. That you can go to the bank and withdraw this on demand. In savings account, the withdrawal on demand will not be charged to you, but in any other mechanism where you have committed a longer period, but you have withdrawn the money within the shorter period of time and not kept it for the full time period, then you will face certain charges and certain interest on that. Well, what is the other primary function? The other primary function is granting of loans. What are the types of loans that a bank would grant? A bank would grant a term loan. Now, term loan could be a long-term loan or a short-term loan. Short-term credit, overdraft facility, cash credit, purchasing or bill discounting. Okay, so we'll just touch upon these aspects briefly. So let's say that some of my friends here would like to start a business, and like was done by Jamshedji Tata in the early part of the century, last century. So they want to set up a big mill. Now, for setting up a big mill, you need a big machine. And if you need a big machine, you need lots and lots of money to buy that machine. So the bank will give you a long-term loan so that you can buy that machine. You can make goods out of that machine. And when you sell the goods, whatever profit you make, you can pay the interest as well as the principal back to the bank. So the quantum of the loan required is very large. There is an asset which needs to be purchased, a big asset that needs to be purchased. And hence, for that asset to be purchased, the life of the asset will be very, very long. 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, that machine will be having a long life. And hence, this is called a long-term loan. Technically, in banking parlance, any loan more than 1 year is generally called as long-term loan, but it is further bifurcated as anything more than 3 to 5 years will be long-term, 1 to 3 years or 1 to 5 years will be medium-term, and less than 1 year will be a short-term loan. So, friends, what is a medium-term loan? Medium-term loan is something that you're not buying a very big asset. Of course, it is an asset which requires 3 to 5 years of running, and the life of the asset is about 3 to 5 years, and hence a bank can fund or help you buy that asset with the money you will borrow from them. And a short-term money is basically which is less than 1 year. Now, what is short-term funds or short-term loan? Short-term loan could be in the form of a credit. It could be in the form of an overdraft. Overdraft could simply mean that I needed some money today in my current account, and let's say I have used that money in the current account. The bank will set a limit in my current account saying, okay, in this current account, you can draw up to X amount more. So you can go into a negative balance with the account with the bank through a current account. That negative balance is called as overdraft. That means if I have money in the account with the bank, that will be called as a positive balance. And when that account gets used, the balance becomes zero. That is called nil balance. The moment that zero becomes negative, that will be called an overdraft. Cash credit, purchasing, bill discounting are also different forms of giving loans and advances. For example, discounting of bills. If you have bought something, let's say from a trader or seller, and you have to pay him, he has to pay you after 30 days, but you need the money today. So what will you do? You will go to the bank and say, see, Mr. Banker, I have got an invoice and I have to receive from this gentleman after 30 days. Will you give me money, and this person, when he pays at the end of 30 days, this amount will be remitted to you. So the bank will deduct certain charges and interest, and he will discount the bill, and he will give you the money today. So this is called bill discounting. So friends, I hope you've understood what are the primary functions of the bank. The primary functions were accepting of deposit and granting of loans and advances. Now, as and when the banking structure developed, as and when the banking services improved, there were certain secondary functions which were defined. Secondary functions included agency functions and certain general utility functions. So what are agency functions? So banks had collection of checks, payment and collection of checks, bills and promissory notes, execution of standing instruction, or acting as a trustee or an executor. Now, some of these are correlated to primary activities. For example, payment and collection of checks. So suppose you go to the bank and deposit a check. Now, of course, no longer you need to do that. You can always do an online transfer. But in the era when you had checkbooks so frequently used, you used to go to the bank, deposit a check, have the check collected, have the payment collections done. The banks would go and deposit that into the account of the person who that check belonged to and transfer that check from one branch to the other or into the account of the same branch wherever it pertains to. Bills and promissory notes is I promise to pay you at a future date when a loan is given to them today, and then they discount these bills and promissory notes. Standing instructions, again, something similar where the bank is where there are two people who've done the transaction and there is a standing instruction that Mr. A's account needs to be debited on a particular date after a period. The standing instructions will be executed by the bank. Acting as a trustee or executor, if you have a bank account and you need to manage something also known as an escrow account, okay, the bank will act as the holder of the funds or the trustee of the funds, and eventually whatever the decision comes through in terms of who is the owner of the money or who needs to be finally paid the money, on the basis of that instruction the bank will release the funds to that person. Then one of the other secondary functions is the general utility function, safe custody. Now, this concept, you've heard of safe deposit vaults, uh, where you can go to the bank, they will have safe deposit vaults, and you can put whatever valuable things that you have, which is not in the form of money, but any other form, like, for example, jewelry, or you have some very secretive documents, your property papers, or whatever the case may be. You can go and put it in your safe deposit vault in a locker, and that vault will be kept under your name and under your use. And for this, they will charge you certain money. Remittance of funds, in case some of you or most of you would want to go for higher education. Let's say you would want to go to higher education to the US or UK, Australia, whichever country, France, England. Uh, when you go there, you need to remit funds to the school. Okay, so or if you have some relatives staying abroad and you need to send them money, or when you are staying abroad and you need to send your parents money, remittance of funds is facilitated by bank. Of course, now there are also the money transfer agents, and they also do the similar set of services, but this was primarily earlier a banking service. Pension payments, acting as a dealer in foreign exchange, these were the few other services that a bank would do. So for example, if you had anything in foreign currency and you wanted it back into an Indian rupee, the bank would help you to transfer this foreign currency back into Indian rupee for certain charges that they would levy. So many things that the bank can do. How will they do it? Obviously through technology. What is the importance of this technology in banking? Today, you want to do banking at your fingertips, banking through your mobile, banking through your laptop. And how do you do it? What is the technology that has enabled the banking system as well as you to interact through this today? Now, today, most transactions can be done from your home and no one actually needs to visit the bank. And this has happened because of the growth of internet, mobile, communication technology. It has brought a big dimension to the banking methodology or the way banks work. It increases efficiency, handling of information, reduction of cost. Nobody has to keep running around or standing in a branch bank for a long line of queues. Accuracy, your money will be managed in your account and it will not go by mistake in somebody's account. And of course, customer service, because if everything happens very fast and accurate, as a customer, you will be very happy. Then other banking activities like ATM, credit card, debit card, mobile banking, internet banking, Swift banking, these all aspects also need technology. You go with your ATM card to the ATM machine, your debit card, you put in your card, you put in your PIN, and automatically something gets debited from your own account only, which is linked to your card. Now, what do you need for that? You need technology. Okay. In the earlier days, in the earlier days of banking, you had to go to the branch, you had to cut out a check and say, this check, I would like to withdraw some money for self. It was known as a self check or a bearer check. And you would go and withdraw money from the bank. in cash and then move out. Now the flexibility of an ATM. So ATM, credit card, debit card, you can go to the supermarket, swipe a card and pay after 30 days. You have a credit period and you enjoy that credit period without a cost. But if you don't pay on that date, then you will be levied a very, very heavy charge. So within the time period of a credit, it's a fantastic facility. The moment you cross the time period, it is one of the most expensive mechanisms to draw money or use money currently that is in force. Of course, mobile banking, net banking, everybody's aware. Just log into your bank, transfer money, RTGS, NEFT. It is just the world is available to you. You transfer money, receive money from wherever you want, from whichever corner of the world is not a problem. And how is this possible? This is all possible because of a concept called core banking solution. What is a core banking solution? Core banking solutions are a banking application on a single platform. So it lets people do all the operations, all the transactions on a single platform. Now, what does that single platform do? The single platform combines communication and information. Because communication and information is combined, that means from your laptop, you communicate onto your bank account and you transact from that bank account. This is facilitated by what? This is facilitated by information technology or communications technology. And the core banking solution is a principle of where communication technology and information technology are merged together. Again, what is information? When you log in, you put in your, you call it the username or your bank ID, you put in your password, and that information gives you access to your bank account on the internet. So through the communication channel of internet, you put in certain information and got back the information of your details in that bank account, which in the earlier days, you simply only had to go to the bank, give them a passbook, get the passbook updated and know your balance. Today, it is on your fingertip. So core banking solutions is nothing where communication technology and information technology are merged, okay, and utilized in a manner that makes banking easy. So a computer software is developed to perform core banking operations and the recording of these transactions. Now, this software is installed across all branches, and then they are interconnected by means of the communication channels like satellite, internet, telephone. This further expands the scope that you sitting in, let's say your hometown is, let's say, Kolkata, and you are sitting in Mumbai, and your branch was opened when you were a child in Kolkata. Now you can operate that branch, account in that branch from Mumbai, and you don't need to go to Kolkata for that. And that is the beauty of core banking solutions. Tomorrow, you students would probably go for higher studies, again, work at places across the globe. And when you do that, you would need to access your bank account, which is there in India. How would you do it? Through core banking solutions. You will connect to the internet, connect to your bank account, and you will be able to transact. So this is the beauty and the requirement of the technology in banking. So what would you do with this technology? What would you do? You would do remittances of funds, you would draw funds, you would remit funds, you would have negotiable instruments. So what are the remittances? What are the different remittances? You have bank draft, you get check, you can remit funds through bank drafts and check. There was a concept called as mail transfer and telegraphic transfer. Basically, through mail transfer, anybody who has an account in another branch of the same bank, they could do this transaction through the bank mail transfer. Then came the form of telegraphic transfer. I know these terms are, how would I say, alien to you because these were terms which are used in the earlier phase of banking. And now it is more of RTGS, NEFT, SWIFT, which is immediate electronic transfer of funds. So telegraphic transfer used to send money from one account in one bank to another account, which is located anywhere in the world. And sometimes it is also referred to as telex transfer or TT transfer. This has means of communications and between two banking institutions. Negotiable instruments. Well, we read about promissory notes, we read about checks, bill of exchange. These are the promissory instruments where there is a promise to pay a person after a period of time, and on the basis of that, the bank can discount these documents or lend money on the basis of these documents. What are the types of checks? There are bearer checks, there is check on order, and there are cross checks. And this crossing can be general or special crossing, but now it's all streamlined into a specific crossing because it gets crossed and transferred to the specific account. Well, friends, this is a little bit of banking and evolution that we've tried to touch up on. Basic core banking solutions, basic systems that banks use, the basic documents that get transacted in a bank, and what are the methods of remittances and negotiable instruments is what I've tried to cover in this session. We all know that banks are now available at your fingertips in terms of transacting money, but you need to be extremely careful. Extremely careful because your hard-earned money is susceptible to risk when you do an online transaction. Please ensure that you do the transaction in a safe and secure manner. Do not share your password, your PIN, whether it is of your bank account, whether it is of your ATM card, debit card, credit card, with anybody whatsoever. Do not ever fall into the trap of fast money if somebody tells you to transfer something through a ATM pin or in any manner which is accessible to them. Do not expose your bank account details to anybody. When you access your bank account, when you access the details online of your credit card, etc., do it from a safe and secure network. Try to do it from the safety of your home. Try to do it from the safety of your school or office. Do not or try not to do it in a place where there could be a suspicion that your ID, your password or your PIN, etc., can get hacked. Be very careful and cognizant about mobile banking. You will get calls, you may get communications saying that you have won so much money, you have won this, you have won that. Do not get into that. Be sure that you use your banking account safely. You use your banking knowledge safely. This will not only help you protect your funds, it will help you grow your funds and be tension-free for the rest of your life. Do not ever give your OTP or any such transactions anywhere. If you end up using your transaction or your credit card or debit card on an online transaction, be sure that that's a safe website, it's a secure website, and you have been able to do that transaction safely and securely. Only then you should go through that. Okay, friends, this is what I had to share about banking. I would like to open the chat for questions if you have any about banking, and I'd like to answer them as and when your questions come up.
So the chat box is now open. To all those who have questions, please type the question only once. Sometimes they get lost when you repeat them and post them multiple times. So please kindly ask your question, but just once, please. Okay, so the first question is coming in, sir.
Yes. State Bank of India is a public sector bank. Answer is yes. Please tell us about KYC and core banking. Well, Arish, core banking, I've explained that there is a concept of core banking across branches where communication and technology is combined together to bring a ease in doing banking, ease of facilitating banking by the customer. That is the basic of core banking. What is KYC? KYC, the full form is called Know Your Customer. When you, for example, if you were to give any money to anybody, let's say you're giving your money to your friend, Don't you know your friend very well? You know him very well. You know where he stays. You know what he does. You know, and you have complete faith in the fact that he has income or he will get some money in the future to give it back to you. Same way, a bank needs to know that will you have the capability of repaying the money back to the bank when you take a loan from them. They want to know who you are, where do you stay, and why have you taken the money. So these are the basic things about KYC that the bank would require. Sir, what is remittance? Harish, remittance means transfer of money from one person to another, and that is, you use the word remit. I remit funds from person A to person B. I remit funds from Mumbai to India. From Mumbai to Delhi within India, from Mumbai to New York within the world, of course, across countries. So remittance means transfer of funds. Basically, it can be transferred from your account to your parents' account. It could be from your account to another account in the country. It could be from anywhere to anywhere. That is remittance. Soham says, what is recurring? Recurring means periodically updating. It is recurring. The event keeps happening at every periodic event. So if I say recurring, recurring deposit means that at every periodic event, you will be transferring some funds into the deposit account, and that deposit amount will keep growing. That's the meaning of recurring. Swift banking is just another methodology of fund transfer that is basically using the Swift code, and that's the uh, meaning of Swift fund transfer. Difference between RBI and SBI. SBI is a public sector bank. It is a proper commercial bank. RBI is, on the other hand, a centralized regulatory body. This centralized regulatory body controls all the banks in India, and they control the operations of all the banks in India. So whether it's an Indian bank operating in India, a foreign bank operating in India, doesn't matter. All the operations and functions of all the banks that are operating in India are regulated by RBI. They will lay down the rules and regulations. They will lay down the principles by which the banking needs to be done. In fact, there is something called as an RBI Ombudsman Act, in which if you are a customer of a bank and the bank has cheated you, or a bank has wrongly transferred your money, or the bank has wrongly charged you for some services, or charged you some, you can complain under the RBI Ombudsman Act. How much money is deposited in the ATMs? Well, Ayush, lots of money, but just try to withdraw what you own, and you don't need to really worry about how much money is there in the ATM. Honestly, the answer, I do not know how much money is deposited in the ATM. Do we get interest on savings and current account, Anand? Yes, we get interest on savings account. On current account, no, because current account has got certain other flexibilities, and the banks do not give interest on current account, which are usually also known as business accounts. Sir, if our claim has come, how do we understand it's real or fake? Lakshya. I'm not sure what claim you're talking about, but obviously, you know what the transactions you are entering into. You really know who has to give you money and who you have to give money to. If you don't know that, that means there is a suspicion. If somebody has just woken up somewhere and said, I am happy to transfer so much money to your account, please understand there is no free lunch. There is some catch. Somebody either wants something or is trying to steal something from you. Please be careful. Please be sure that you trust the source, that you know the account. If you do not know it yourself, speak to your parents. Maybe they know about it. Please get in touch with the bank to find out whether this is genuine or whether this is a fake transaction. But be very careful before communicating with that person. Lisa says, please tell me about education loan. Well, that is a very specific query. I would just tell you there are many loans that a bank can give for various purposes. So you can have a car loan if you want to buy a car. If you want to go for future studies, then a bank can give you education loan. and each of these loans are chargeable at a rate of interest. There are certain flexibilities. So in an education loan or in a car, against a car loan or other loans, you need not repay the loan immediately, but interest will get charged, and your repayment of loan will start only after your completion of education. So if there is a 2-year education loan, your repayment of that loan will start after 2 years or 2.5 years, depending on the type of loan that you have taken, because they know that you are studying and you cannot repay the loan. So they will only charge you some component of interest at that point of time. But when you have a car, they will charge principal plus interest repayable in a particular manner or in a periodic manner for the life of, let's say, 3 years or 5 years, or the duration of the loan that you have taken. How does anyone hack us by OTP, Yash? Well, Yash, your personal details which are required for online banking are your bank account, your customer ID, your password, and then you can log in through OTP. Of course, everything is accessible through your phone number. That means if somebody says, I forgot password, goes into the bank and puts in your customer ID, because for some reason your customer ID is known to somebody else, what will happen? The OTP will come to your number. Now, if you give that OTP when that somebody calls you, and if you give it to him, he will be able to change everything and hack your account through OTP. So please ensure you restrict sharing of any OTP, password, or any such information which is personal to you for the bank. Kavya states, how do banks earn? Well, when banks give loan, they charge an interest. When banks accept deposit, they give interest. The difference between their earning, where they charge interest, which is higher than the interest when they give, that is lower. So when you have a bank account and a savings account, they will give interest of, let's say, 3%. But when you take a loan from them, you yourself, if you take a loan from them for, let's say, education, even after having a savings account, they will give you an education loan, let's say, for 9%. So the difference between 9 and 3, that is the earning of 6% that they have. So this is how banks earn. They earn from giving loans, and part of what they earn, they share with the savings account holders. Current account holders, they do not have to give any interest, so that money comes to them interest free. Can you brief the functions of the banks once, please? Sonakshi, functions of the banks: primary function, secondary function. Primary function, we said, acceptance of deposits and lending activities. Secondary function were acting as agents, acting as money transfer agents, etc. These were the secondary functions, acting as trustees. Core banking solutions, which can be otherwise used for fund transfer. So these are the core functions of the bank. If we take money from the ATM, the transaction failed, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Your account will not get debited. If your account gets debited, please connect with your bank and tell them that the transaction failed. Okay, so Kunal says, if a person is taking loan for machines, so if the person gets a loss and is not able to pay the loan, what will the bank do? Well, what the bank will do is the bank will try to minimize its loss. So the bank will take the possession of the machine back and they will try to sell it secondhand somewhere else, or they will call somebody to repossess that machine and sell it to somebody else. And whatever they can save from that, they will save. The balance money they will try to recover from the person who took the loan. So either they will file a case in the court so that that person will pay it from his personal funds if it was a personal business. If it was a corporate, the bank will have to bear the loss and move forward. But that person will become a bad credit. And once a person becomes a bad credit in any bank, he will in the future find it very difficult to ever take a loan again from any bank for any kind of business. Sir, in the villages, how do people open their account? Jay, is the same way how a person will open an account in an urban area or in a semi-urban or in the rural area. You have to give your KYC documents, you have to sign, you have to either sign if you're literate through a signature or through a thumb impression, and you can open a bank account. In fact, banking after the monetary or demonetization which happened in a few years back in the country, a lot of people had to move to opening bank accounts. So what is KYC, Naman? I've explained what is KYC. What do you do after getting scammed? Well, if you got scammed and it is not you that has given the OTP, that is given the password, or that is through you that the information gone, but your account has got hacked indirectly, then of course you can approach the bank and you can approach banking ombudsman and try to ensure that whatever losses there has got minimized. But if you have been cheated and there has been a transaction done and you've been cheated, then of course you'll have to file a police complaint and try to get the money back from that other person. The bank may try to do whatever they can do in terms of helping, but if it was a transaction where they cheated, they probably can do a very limited set of things. Sir, if we take a loan from a bank and ran to another country, can bank track our phone if we also make online payments? No, bank will not sit and track your phone. That is not the job of the bank. The bank gives you a loan after knowing who you are, who are your dependents, what is your credit worthiness, what is your credit score, and only then they will give you a loan. In the event that they made a mistake, that they gave you a loan and you ran away to another country, there is very little that they can do. They can only file a case against you so that whatever you have left behind in this country, be it your property, whatever belongs to you, they will try to recover that and reduce their losses to that extent. But if you continue to do online payments wherever you are in this world, I don't think the bank will ever bother because you're making the payments of their money on time. And if you, of course, make online payments to them from a foreign country and it is in a different currency, they will most gladly convert it for you in Indian rupees and pay it against your loan account. Sir, by taking out money from an ATM, are we prone to any risk? Well, you know, the ATM card can be easily replicated. So be very sure which ATM you're entering into. Be very sure that, that ATM is managed and safely guarded. Just ensure that your ATM card PIN is also kept with you. You never share your ATM card PIN with anybody. On your ATM card, or the debit card or credit card, on the reverse of the card, there's a 3-digit number. That 3-digit number called the CVV number, that number is also very, very critical. Do not ever share that number with anybody. If anybody asks you for a Xerox or a photocopy of your card, you can give the photo for any kind of transaction. You can give the photocopy of the front one. When you give the photocopy of the back one, please ensure that the CVV number is hidden or scratched out and that is not shared. So please be sure that wherever you are sharing the card information, it is restricted and you know where it goes. Harsh says, what is the difference between ATM, debit card, credit card? Well, ATM is only for cash withdrawal. Debit is cash withdrawal as well as you can use it as at a store or any external place. Credit card, in a debit card, your account immediately gets debited. A credit card, you get a credit period of 30 days, after which you need to pay. Your account will not get automatically debited, for which you need to pay. That is why it is known as a credit card. In FDs, we cannot withdraw the money for a particular period. It is not you cannot withdraw. Ideally, you should not withdraw because if you withdraw, you will get charged. So if you want to enjoy higher interest rate, you need to ensure that you keep the FD for the full period. And if you keep it for the full period, well, you get that interest. You want to deposit more money on that account? Most definitely, you can do a recurring FD also. You want to create a new FD? You can create a new FD. That flexibility the bank gives you. But once you create a type of FD, then that type of FD will remain till the tenure the FD has been made for. What is the difference between public sector bank and private sector bank? Well, as of today, not much of a difference. Everybody runs the banking business in terms of profitability. And public sector bank, earlier, since the banking sector was yet to be developed, government was supposed to take the initiatives to ensure that the banking system is operated and organized correctly, so that the influence of money lenders reduced and you had a formal banking channel, formal methodology of getting money and paying money, and that was very critical in in the country, that was required as on that date. So as of today, there's not much of difference. Of course, public sector and private sector only means that there is a government holding in public sector, and private sector, of course, the private non-government people are able to run the bank. What is post of bank manager in banking? Well, a bank manager is a bank manager. He can be a branch manager, he can be a bank manager, he can be a cash manager. It all depends on what function he has to handle. Sir, why online banking has more risk? Why online banking has more risk? Because you are accessing your bank account through the internet. You need to ensure that your internet is safe and secure. You need to ensure that the place from where you are accessing your bank account is safe, and your password, etc., is not saved on that laptop or desktop, wherever you are accessing. You all would be aware of computers, right? So whenever you access anything through a computer, the computer sets up certain cookies at the back end on the internet, of the internet page that you've accessed. Those cookies are always available at the back end. If anybody wants to hack that computer and get access to the cookies, they'll get all the information, but they will still not be able to operate the account without your OTP. So if that person has got certain information, he still needs something more to do a transaction. Now, please ensure that if something like this happens, you do not go and give him the balance information, which will make your account susceptible to such risk. So just ensure that you keep all your information safe, access your account, access your details only from a secure network. Ensure if that you are doing it from your home, ensure you delete all your cookies at the back end, so that in the future, even if your own laptop gets hacked, that information is not available. We've also heard about phones being hacked, and a lot of people have banking information on their phones. Please ensure that you have a password protect. Please ensure that your phone is secured, and you do not or you use a secure Wi-Fi network, and ensure that it is safe in that manner. Which is a safe and best method for fund transfer or money transfer? I think all online transactions are safe in terms of the banking side. You just need to ensure that you take requisite precaution and safety when you're doing that transaction. Well, somebody says, please explain secondary transaction again, secondary functions again. Secondary functions are basically agency functions and general utility functions. Agency functions are basically execution of standing instruction, acting as a trustee, payment and collection of checks. General utility functions are safe custody, safe deposit vaults, remittance of funds, acting as a dealer for foreign exchange when foreign exchange conversion needs to happen. These are the general utility functions of the bank. I'll try to pick 2 or 3 last set of questions before probably we can close.
I think there are a lot of repeat questions. They're posted. The students are posting it again and again.
Yes. I hope I've been able to answer some of the questions. Some of them I'm skipping because it has got the same or common answer to the earlier ones.
Right. Yes.
Which is the best and safe money, safe mode of transferring money? I've answered that. Sir, did banks only earn from loans? Well, like we mentioned, Kunal, bank, yes, major income is from loans. But suppose you have a safe deposit vault with him or with the bank, that means they will charge you for the safe deposit vault. Suppose you want to transfer money abroad, they will charge you to transfer money abroad. So no, loans is not the only method. There are other methods from where they earn fee, and this is what they earn from. Naman highlighted his quote as important. So which is the best and safe option for transferring money? Any online mode is safe. If you do it from a safe and secure network, if you do it from the safety of the place that you trust, any network method is safe. RTGS, NEFT, or any money order transfer is fine. Please ensure that you do it from a safe place where details of your banks, details of your customer information are not leaked or not hacked by anybody. In some banks, maximum amount you can take only some amount in a day. If you want more amount, the bank gives the money in a day. What can I do? Well, not sure on this, but this must be some specific account that you're maintaining with them. Otherwise, there is no real restriction. Yes, there may be a restriction of what you withdraw from the ATM, but then you can go to the branch and write a self-check and withdraw how much ever you want. Or further, you can do a fund transfer from one account to another account, and you own both the accounts. So for example, if I own an account in bank A and I want to transfer the money in bank B, I can do that online itself and I don't need to go to the bank. So you can use your money in whatever quantum, etc. you have, and it's completely flexible. But some of the modes may have some restrictions. For example, you may not be able to withdraw a very large sum through an ATM. You may have to go to the bank for that. Of course, they will not encourage you to go and withdraw very large sum. Like, for example, if you want to go to the bank and withdraw 50 lakh rupees, you must have seen in some Hindi movies that, the person goes to the bank and the bank manager gives a large suitcase to the person in the hand. Well, those are the things that don't happen anymore. So these are only in some movies which you would see. Well, I hope I've answered most of the questions, and please ensure that you do your banking transaction in a very safe and secure manner. Be alert, be responsible, and I don't think if you do that, you will ever get into trouble with your money, and your money will always be safe and secure. All the best, and I hope you enjoyed the session today.
Absolutely. I think all of us did. I did as well. Of course, for those of you who are just about coming in or, had school and are just joining us, I think Harish has mentioned a few times if we can briefly explain about stages in the evolution of banks in India. So covered that already in the beginning of the webinar. So once this webinar is up on our YouTube channel, we'll share the link with your teacher and you can go ahead and review that. So just before all of you or we conclude our final webinar, just want to let you all know some next steps as far as our program is concerned. Adarsh, could we move to the next slide? So I'm sure now that you've done all the webinars, you're sort of wondering what's next for us. If you haven't already gone through the DhanGyan portal, please do so. Feel free to view all and review all of the modules if you like. For the sake of our program, the way it is structured, you need to complete the first 5 modules and know them well, which is SMART goals is the first one, budgeting is the second one, insurance is the third, then we have investments, and we have banking. So please go through these modules well, because the test that you will do will be based on these 5 modules. Anant, just give me a moment. I'm coming to the test as well. So these are the 5 modules. Kindly go through them, review them nicely. May I have the next slide, please, Adarsh? So that's step 1 that you have to do. Now, then what we are going to do is we will take you all will have to do an online test. The online test is going to be multiple choice questions. So they'll all be MCQs. There might be a fill in the blank here or there where you will have to do, you'll have to write answers down, but they are going to be simple. So nothing to lose sleep over. And it'll be for 90 minutes. It'll be out of 100%. They will be based on the 5 modules of the first 5 modules of DhanGyan, as we already informed you. Since this is an online test, the link will be shared with your teacher, and we'll do that on Wednesday, next Wednesday, which is February the 2nd. Now, the way the test is structured is we have got a pool of hundreds of questions. So you can take the test anytime, either on Friday, on Saturday, or on Sunday. But please make sure that you do the test before Sunday. The test can only be taken once. Please remember that. So when you start the test, there's no going back. The test only moves forward. There are several anti-cheating features that have been put in. Those anti-cheating features are going to be that you cannot do the back button. You can only sign on one device. You cannot Google anything. The system captures all of these and it dings your score. So you will be marked negative if you have gone on another Google portal or something like this, right? And you will need your DhanGyan username. So you all remember when you sign on into the modules, it'll be those the 4 letters and then a number. So that is what you're going to use in order to log into the test. We will send this information to your teacher, so please don't worry about it. Now, so I'll just take some questions that you all are asking. So yes, if you've done very good, Shubham, if you've done the 5 modules, you will be taking the test on this. You have to take the test only once on any of the days at your convenience. There is no different link. I hope I have answered that question, Shubham. So you will only take the test once. The reason why we've kept it open for 3 days is because several students, due to network, might not be able to take the test at the same time. There are issues like this, plus you have, I think, some submissions and exams and so on and so forth. Every state has a different schedule right now. So we kept it open to be flexible. Number of questions, for the most part, they might be, I'm not certain how many number of questions there are. Give me until next week and communication will be shared with your teachers, but it will be a 90-minute test. So I'm assuming there will be 100 questions, give or take. They are all multiple choice. Like I said, please don't fret over it, right? Yes, so no, there is only one test, Lakshya. You will only do the test once. The reason why we have given 3 days is to improve flexibility for everybody. So you can take the test either on Friday, on Saturday, or on Sunday. Saturday, I think there is a festival. That's the reason why we extended it till Sunday. No, Anirudh, there is no negative marking for this exam. All right, so what will you get once you complete it? We will analyze your answers. For those who have scores between 35% and 89%, you will be given e-certificates. If you achieve anywhere from 90 to 99%, you will get a printed certificate of achievement and a medal. Then if you get 100%, which will be awesome, you will get a printed certificate of excellence and a trophy. Now, all of this will be sent to your school. So the teacher, your coordinator teacher, will be responsible in order to distribute these. Okay, so the certificates, whether they are e-certificates or whether they are printed certificates, they will all be sent to your school. Now that I have finished this, let me just take in some questions. Okay, so I already said there will be no negative marking. Yash, you don't have to turn on your video while exam. But like I said, there are several anti-cheating features that have been enabled. So please be cautious. Only sign in on one device. Aditi, the trophy will be sent to your school. Manat, yes, you will be marked present. Please don't worry. We get your attendance with the names, so that's all right. Beneath the dates, yes, I will tell you. You can take the test anytime on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Only take the test once. The reason why we've given 3 dates is just to accommodate all states. Okay. No, Yash, you don't have to. I think I said that already. We don't have to turn on the video while we have the exams. Harish, it'll take us, it depends on all the students if they have been able to take the test by Sunday. Sometimes we have seen historically, if it rains too much, then students are not able to take the test in certain parts of India. So at this point, we will be able to only tell you about the results a little later on once the tests have done. Again, like I said, we will share all the details and information with your teacher. Yeah, Miss Jolly has already answered. After 10 to 15 days, we will let you know. All right, great. So if you still have any questions or if there's something that we haven't answered, this is the website, I'm sorry, this is the email address, DhanGyan@usoindia.org, or the phone number. And the best thing to do would be please ask your teacher. She will contact our offices and get you the answer, because if you have a question, it's very likely that another student has it as well. And of course, there is always going to be our social media channels, such as Facebook, Twitter. I don't know why the images are not there. They should have been there, but so we have, we are also going to be posting regular messages. So please do follow us. That way also you get updated. And of course, if there's anything, like I said, please contact your teacher. All right. I think that's all that we have. Aditi, oh no, sorry, Daniel, no, the test is not this week, my dear. It's next week. So the test will be on 4th, 5th, and 6th. Don't worry. The dates and all will be shared with your teacher. On 2nd, which is a Wednesday, we will mail everything to your teacher, including your registration IDs, which you use to sign in. And your teacher will share all of that with you. And please feel free to take the test at your convenience, either on the 4th, on the 5th, or on the 6th. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Manat, if you don't use Instagram and Twitter. Don't worry. Your teacher will keep you updated. The YouTube channel name, Aditi, is United Schools Organization of India. If you just search it on YouTube, you will get our channel. All the 3 webinars, I hope all of you have received links to that from your school. So if you haven't, please look them up and you will find the webinars that have been posted on the YouTube channel. Okay, Snigdha Pradhan, you didn't register. Which school are you from? If you can just write that, or better still, Snigdha, just call our office. And the number, I've given it to you. I'm going to type it in the chat box once again. So just call that number and then we'll figure it out for you. Okay. Anirudh, don't worry if you missed yesterday's session. You can review the webinars which are on the YouTube channel. On the okay, Amog is asking on the 3 days there is anything that we have. No, you can choose. So as far as the test is concerned, it's like an open test, which means that you can take it at any time. The reason why we have kept it open is because we know that you cannot help another friend by giving them the questions. Each child will get a different set of questions. It'll all be shuffled, and the questions are so many that the probability of 2 students getting the same paper is very low. So you can take the test anytime at your convenience. If morning suits you, please take it in the morning. If evening is better for you, please take it in the evening. But like I said, remember, please only please only take the test once, because you will not be allowed to take it again. If for whatever reason there is an issue or a problem, please, like I said, contact your teacher, even if it happens to be on a Saturday or a Sunday. If we are unavailable, we'll get back to you on Monday and we'll sort it out. Great. I think we have gone way over time. I'd just like to take a moment before we leave, Mr. Behzad, Bhesania, I cannot thank you enough for your for the time that you have given to the students and shared the knowledge for the last 3 days. I must confess, I go back and sort of look at the webinars so that just to clarify what I thought I understood. But thank you for taking the time. It has been very valuable for the students, and I extend thank you nationally from the schools that are participating. We have students from Odisha, we have students from Maharashtra, from Delhi, and Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all of those students who are joining us. So the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that you have shared over these last 3 days, and Mr. Riker on the first day has been truly enormous. So I hope a lot of these students end up choosing finance as one of their, pursue finance as their career. So, and then of course we wait and see, but I hope it ignites their interest. This is a great field to be in, and it's fascinating. So thank you very much, sir.
Most welcome, my pleasure.
Great. All right. So thank you. Students, have a fantastic evening. Last of our webinar series. So have a great evening. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. And thank you once again, sir. We'll see you another time.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Look forward to
Bye,
this
sir.
opportunity to share knowledge.
Oh, thank you. Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a fantastic evening. Bye.